right, guys, our favorite time of the week when we get to answer a few of your questions. Saagar, what's up first?
Number 1, Michael Tredick, future public speaking engagements. Hey, Krystal, Saagar, been a big fan of the show. I was curious if either of y'all have ever considered doing any public speaking events, live audience shows, or live Q&A type events.
Indeed, we have.
Michael, you're in luck, my friend. So, look, we're going to be announcing it soon, but we just, literally, the day that we're taping this, got our first confirmed venue. We're going to release all that stuff. We are 100% going on tour. Can't give you guys any more details. It's all getting hammered out. It's more complicated logistically than people like to imagine, but it is getting done, and it will be happening at peak season. So I think you guys are going to have a hell of a lot of fun at these tours, putting a lot of thought into how to structure it, how to do the programming, all that stuff. And I think it's going to be a really good time.
Yeah, so we were thinking sort of like in the build-up to the elections in the fall, after Labor Day. That's kind of the time frame.
Right now we have to confirm all of the venues. And it's just, the way that this whole business works is honestly nuts. Like, you have to confirm a venue, and you're not allowed to really plan it yourself. Like, that venue has to do it, and then you have to, like, go to a specific link for them in order to go by, whatever.
We'll get it done.
It out,
and we have one date that we are going to announce to you very soon. So
one date is 100% confirmed. Like, it's happening. And then from there, we're going to have even more. So there we go. All right.
Second question, Antonio Ananat. Good outlets. Hey guys, what are some good outlets I can subscribe to for good economic and market news? I thought Bloomberg would be good, but you mentioned Michael Bloomberg is the most entrenched with China, and I don't want to fall for propaganda. Fair. I'm sure the Wall Street Journal is also riddled with interest too. Are there any relatively good outlets here I can subscribe to get good info to inform my investments? Look, I mean, I think any of the business or financial press you should take with a grain of salt, certainly.
Right.
But I will say, Josh Barro has a good podcast called Very Serious that I actually really enjoy and listen to. And I've known Josh for a long time. His politics are not exactly like mine, but I really think he's a very thoughtful, smart, and honest actor. And he's not afraid of sort of going against what people ultimately want to hear. So I find him to be very useful.
I love Josh. My main advice is find people that you trust and absent brands. There are a lot of people, Matt Levine over at Bloomberg, Joe Weisenthal, obviously. I subscribe to Puck News, which has a great financial. We have a corporate subscription. What else?
Jeff Stein is obviously
Jeff Stein at the Washington
we've
Post.
Really appreciated.
Heather Long at the Washington Post. Joe Weisenthal and Tracy over at Odd Lots. Look, I mean, the honest answer is that the financial press is about as corrupt as it gets whenever it comes to advertising. That being said, there's not as much ideology involved in financial press, and they're a little bit better at doing their jobs.
Okay, so here's the thing. Their only ideology is money. So they're honest about what is actually going to impact the economy.
That's a good point.
So I do actually find that, I mean, you have to deal with the fact that it's this very sort of like plutocratic worldview that you're getting.
Right.
But I do actually like reading, the business press, because you do get this kind of unvarnished view of how the masters of the universe are thinking about how things are unfolding, which can be very useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right.
Third question.
Rich Wilson, are corporate elites actually okay with the recession? You've mentioned a recession would really hurt the current labor movements, plus crushing smaller businesses would give corporatists even more of a stranglehold on people. Executives rarely sacrifice short-term gains for long-term strategies, but they know and we know that Washington will always bend over backwards to prop them up. A recession also makes it easier for them to deflect blames and whatever else. Thanks for all that you do. So the basic question there, Krystal, is are corporate elites actually okay with a recession? I honestly don't know the answer to that. I do think that they will be okay with it. I mean, the point that we always try to make here is you may not make money on the way up. Most of America doesn't. But you always lose money when they go down. So I don't even know if it's necessarily that they're okay with the recession. It's more about who suffers, who who suffers the pain. And look, recessions are not a joke. It's not just about people losing. A lot of people kill themselves during recessions. People don't talk about that. The suicide rate goes way up whenever there's a recession. There's a lot of people who get divorced or lose their kids and custody. It's honestly a disaster. Addiction goes up. So that's the type of stuff that I really focus on. Anyway.
So I have a little bit of insight into this courtesy of our friends at the American Prospect. Lee Harris went to the Milken conference and listen to what the sort of CEOs and financial elite there had to say. And they were extremely optimistic that even if a recession meant like death and devastation for them, they always are in position to win no matter what happens, apparently. So what they say is, much of what spilled out within the Beverly Hilton complex was blithe optimism. Most panelists agreed that a recession is on the horizon, but insisted that the downturn poses as much profit opportunity as downside. A Harris poll of attendees found that most Milken guests were bullish about their own financial performance and twice as likely as the American public to think that inflation will taper off. So, I mean, this has kind of been the story of America. No matter what happens in the market, if you're someone with a lot of existing assets and resources, you're going to be in position to benefit off of that. So when the market is going up and up and up, obviously people with assets profit off of that. When it collapses, now you have distressed assets that you can buy at bargain basement prices and hold on. If you're in that position to be able to hold on for the long term, then you're going to turn around and make even more money ultimately in the end. So, and that's to say nothing of the way that Congress and the Fed ultimately always make sure to prop up the best position among us. So listen, are they like cheering for a recession? No, I don't think so. Are they like not scared by it and kind of okay with it? Yeah, I think that's a reasonable interpretation of what's going on here.
Right. Okay, next question.
Next question from Charles Fish, Bernie Bros, and Hillary No Votes, and SCOTUS. So recently, the last few days, I've seen a number of liberal friends on my feed on social media blaming Bernie Bros and people who did not vote because of Hillary for the present state of SCOTUS, while of course taking no responsibility for the shit show that campaign was or how terrible Hillary was as a candidate, short of just taking these people off my social media. How would you respond to people who still have this line of thinking? I mean, listen, the reality is if you are in 2022 and you are still thinking this way, it is very unlikely that we are going to shake your belief that, Susan Sarandon is the downfall of America. But I have seen a little bit of movement among some sort of PMC types and even some corporate Democrats because it is so manifestly clear on Roe versus Wade that Democrats over almost 50 years have been promising to codify Roe versus Wade. There have been multiple periods where they didn't just have power but had supermajorities, the most recent one being under Barack Obama, who promised doing such a thing would be a day one action and then did nothing. So I think that's a good way for people whose politics are informed by a lot of cultural liberalism to open up the door to, sometimes the Democratic Party can actually fail, not just be failed. And then once you open that door up a little bit of like, here is a very clear example of how they did not live up to their promises and why people might have been frustrated with them and not come out to vote for them in droves in order to defeat Donald Trump, then you can start to have a real conversation about their failures, why people didn't vote for Hillary, and why it's not the fault of the voters, why it's the fault of these terrible candidates and corrupt elites that have destroyed this party.
I would ask them, I think what you said is great. I would also just be like, so do you blame RBG for not retiring while Obama was president? Just very basic. Just be like, tell me what, because I guarantee you they probably lionize RBG. And you're like, hey, do you blame RBG for single-handedly almost guaranteeing the swing vote whenever it comes to Roe versus Wade? Because she's a narcissist and she's the reason that this happened. So look, ask them that question. And I virtually guarantee you they never thought about it that way. That's one of the most, also, even right now.
Very clear.
It's an incredibly clear question that, I can guarantee you on the right, Clarence Thomas is getting old. If Trump gets elected, he's going to retire on day one. He's like, all right, I'm out. You guys replace me. Because they care about the movement. They don't, I'm not sure. I don't really know anything about him personally, but I'm just saying the right is a lot more. The right is a lot more movement oriented, right?
Yeah.
And so she's a complete narcissist and she died on the bench. And, at the end of the day, she kind of got her wish. All right.
Last question, Fernando Pena, behind the scenes at Breaking Points. First of all, thank you, Breaking Points team, for centering the concerns of both the blue and white collar working class. Appreciate that. Try our best here. Any chance we can get a behind the scenes segment? I can't believe I'm the only person who would love to meet some of the production team and see a little bit more about what goes into making the show. Actually, we've been thinking about doing something like that. 1 year anniversary is coming up here soon.
Yeah.
And what we actually have in mind is kind of laying out for you what we've done this year, what things we've invested in.
Yes.
Just so you guys know, how we're spending the money and how it's enabled us to sort of up our game
Yeah,
here.
it's your money.
And be able to provide you with the best possible content. But potentially as part of that, we can do a little bit
behind the scenes would be
as
fun.
well if our production crew wants
I
to
was
be
gonna
on
say,
camera. I don't know if they want to be or not.
It's not as fun as it may seem, to have people comment on your everyday appearance.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, we can.
Some
I'm
people
sure
can take it.
We can,
some people
we
can't.
can definitely pressure James into it.
Yeah,
The rest
he'll
of
do
them,
it.
maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know if. Yeah, I'll ask the camera guys. We'll see. All right? Okay, we'll keep you guys updated. We're really excited about our 1-year anniversary. It's a lot of fun, and we really appreciate you guys just so much. So thank you all, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a wonderful day, guys. See you here tomorrow.